Terence Crawford has had an amazing career against a lot of very good fighters and world-class fighters, and honestly has barely lost a round. When you look back at Bud Crawford's career, there is something really special.
I say there's nothing to do, but damn, like, what else do you gotta do? he's a 3-time undisputed champion.
Hey man, you looking small. What you mean I'm looking small? You looking small. Like, it's just that, like, you gotta really hurt that dude to turn him away and to try to stop him from doing what he want to do. So skillful, yes, but this and this.
Fighters are genuinely afraid of Terence Crawford for countless reasons. Roy Jones Jr. even noted that Canelo looked nervous just standing across from him during their face-off. What makes Crawford so intimidating isn't only his skill, but his calmness under pressure. He reads every move, rarely gets hit cleanly, and punishes mistakes with perfect timing, leaving opponents feeling like they have no path to victory.
And that stare down that we talked about when I told you either he's not ready for this or he's trying to little boy Bud. He wasn't trying to little boy Bud. He really was afraid, well, not afraid, but he was worried about Bud. And Bud knew that. And Bud being the older guy, Bud kind of looked him in his eye and made him turn away first. That was a victory for Bud. That was Bud's first victory. Anytime that happens, if something else don't come around or something else don't happen to undo that, you got a problem.
Paulie Malignaggi praised Crawford's career as one of the most remarkable runs in modern boxing. Becoming undisputed champion 3 different times and doing it against top competition rather than hand-picked opponents is nearly unheard of. Paulie was especially impressed by how Crawford dominated without taking much punishment, finishing with an immaculate record of 41 wins, 31 knockouts, and 0 losses. To him, Crawford's recent win over Canelo wasn't just another notch on the belt, it marked the beginning of a new era, much like when Mayweather once reigned. In Paulie's view, Crawford is now the defining fighter of this generation.
Flawless. I mean, Terence Crawford has had an amazing career against a lot of very good fighters and world-class fighters, and honestly has barely lost a round. When you look back at Bud Crawford's career, there is something really special. It's one of those things now, because now I've now seen back-to-back generations of Floyd Mayweather and Bud Crawford, and man, you know, it's one of those things where now I understand why the people that lived in the Ray Leonard era say, you know, oh, wish we could see Ray Leonard against Mayweather and how that would be. Because it just leaves such an empty feeling when you have such special fighters that were in different generations, and you saw both of them. I mean, I saw the entirety of the Mayweather generation. I saw the entirety of the Bud Crawford generation. Just incredible. Really, really incredible. And I know Mayweather gets a lot of hate, but for me, he's a tremendous fighter. And Terence Bud Crawford is in that realm as well. And it's a fight we'll never get to see. So what are we going to do, you know? It'll be up to the fantasy fights, you know. But let's get into it, man. I want to get into the undercard as well and some of my thoughts on the Netflix show. But let's get into the main event first. Crawford really boxed very, very well, very, very intelligently. The question mark was what happens when Crawford gets hit cleanly. I'm not sure he got hit cleanly the whole fight. You know, he got hit with some partial shots. Some shots landed cleanly, but by the time Canelo started landing anything cleanly, I think he was hesitant because he was getting countered so much that he was taking some of the steam off the shots in order to hope to be more accurate. Because even late in the fight, there were a couple of shots that Canelo landed, but they barely moved.
Bryan described Crawford's performance against Canelo as extraordinary, highlighting his rare balance of offense and defense. Most fighters excel at one while sacrificing the other, but Crawford blended both seamlessly. He neutralized attacks with slick movement and tight defense, then instantly turned to offense to punish every opening. Bryan emphasized that this complete package is what sets Crawford apart, dominating without absorbing damage, while dismantling an elite opponent with composure and precision.
See, I think that for me, I watch defense as much as I watch offense. So, yeah. Like I thought, like watching Bud catch those shots off his glove.
He looked amazing.
So amazing.
Yeah, he looked good.
Yeah. He'd go to a body and he'd catch that and come up with an uppercut. You know, just all those things that seem.
He looked great.
Yeah, I've never seen anybody do that to ever.
No one has. Yeah, he's the best.
Canelo.
Ever. Yeah, he's the best.
And I think he would do that to Canelo on his best day. And Canelo said it. He goes, "I couldn't figure him out."
No.
Which is why he probably won't fight him again. You know?
They'll fight again.
You think so?
The payday, yeah. But so you're gonna get Canelo because the money's in Canelo Crawford. The rematch.
Yeah.
I don't want to see it, but I want Crawford to get paid, so might as well do it.
Andre Ward hailed Crawford as the most skillful fighter of his era. Known himself as a technical master, Ward admired Crawford's mentality, saying that once he sets a goal, he'll stop at nothing to achieve it. According to Ward, the only way to beat Crawford is to truly hurt him, because tricks and tactics won't work. His adaptability, stance switching, and calm under pressure make him a rare fighter who can impose his will on anyone. Ward insisted that Crawford's success is no accident, but the result of determination, discipline, and relentless grit.
Somebody that, like, I can bet the house on is Bud.
Who's the most skilled fighter today?
Bud is definitely one of them, for sure. Me and him, we so much alike in our mentality. Like, soon as I see this dude, he come in the room or I come in the room, we start arguing about basketball, wrestling, anything, bro. Like, man, you can't, man, you looking small. What you mean I'm looking small? You looking small. Like, it's just that, like, you gotta really hurt that dude to turn him away and to try to stop him from doing what he want to do. So, skillful, yes. But this and this, it's different, man.
Crawford's journey has been shaped deeply by family. His father always believed he'd become undisputed, instilling confidence in him early. But his mother wasn't convinced, often doubting he'd make it to the top. Rather than discourage him, her skepticism became his fuel. Every fight was a chance to prove her wrong. With each belt, Crawford fulfilled his father's vision and, eventually, earned his mother's pride. Today, he reflects with satisfaction, knowing his success brought both validation and respect from his family.
Dad used to tell my mom I was going to be a world champion.
I told him,
How'd that make you feel? It filled me with rage. And every time I stepped foot in the ring or anything that I ever did, I just wanted to win so bad so I can prove a point to her.
I paid the kids, I said, if y'all can whoop Bud, I give y'all $10 a piece. Could none whoop.
You went out on the street.
Yeah.
What's now Bud Crawford Street.
Yeah.
And offered $10 to anyone who can kick my son's butt.
Yep.
A lot of takers.
Yeah, the kids in the neighborhood. Couldn't nobody whoop them.
What did he tell you then?
He told you, Mom, I told you I'm the best.
Explaining his career path, Crawford revealed he never pursued undisputed at 154 pounds because he didn't see enough worthy competition there. For him, becoming undisputed isn't about collecting belts, it's about beating the best. Instead, he set his sights on 168, chasing bigger challenges and bigger names that could further cement his legacy. His refusal to move down reflects confidence and ambition, choosing risk over comfort to define his career.
Has being undisputed at 154 ever crossed your mind at this point that you at in your career?
Not at all, because I'm looking at the landscape of the 154-pound division. There's a lot of great fighters, but there's not a lot of defining fights at 154. There's not a lot of legacy fights at 154. You know, when I'm looking at the landscape of 154, I beat, what's his name?
Majimov? No, 154?
No. The champion that just knocked out Tim Tszyu.
Oh, Bachram. Yeah.
Okay, so Bachram, they're going to say, who was Bachram?
Facts.
He knocked out Tim Tszyu that already had losses.
I would put you down with Fedora, though.
But Fedora already been knocked out.
Yeah, he did.
So, along my career, I've been criticized and people have taken credit away from me just to try to diminish my accomplishments, just off of pure hate.
At times, Crawford proudly displays his belts not out of arrogance, but as a testament to his years of sacrifice. Each title represents struggle, discipline, and hard-fought battles. By showing them, he reminds both fans and critics that nothing was given, he earned it all. For him, the belts symbolize proof of his effort and serve as inspiration for the next generation chasing greatness.
I'm just reflecting on all my accomplishments at my mama house. That's where all my belts at. You know, hard work, dedication. Things that y'all favorite fighters, some of them, ain't got. So I see why y'all mad. See why y'all mad. Look at that one right there. This is where it all started at. Right here. This one. In Texas. In Texas, baby. Don't hate. Just congratulate.
Rising star Virgil Ortiz Jr. called Crawford's most recent performance absolutely beautiful. He said Crawford has already done enough to secure his legacy and doesn't need to chase anyone else to prove his greatness. Coming from a young, ambitious fighter, Ortiz's admiration shows how deeply Crawford's dominance has impressed the new generation.
Perfect fight actually. He neutralized all of Canelo's strengths. He knew that he was gonna look for the right hook, because I believe that they've been looking at Crawford being hurt by that right hook before. So he neutralized it. He used his jab really well. He boxed beautifully, and man, I mean he did everything right. Yeah.
Now, let's talk about Crawford first, because obviously we can get to Canelo later, but in the post-fight, they asked him, a media member asked him if he'd come back down to 154 to fight Boots. Obviously, in the same token, I took it as, all right, Boots or Virgil, right? And he said he's not coming back down to 154. What are your thoughts on him not coming down, and what do you think he will more than likely do next?
I don't know what he's gonna do. I did read something that said he'll go down to 160, you know? And I think that is definitely a possibility, and you know that fight can still happen at 160. And as far as what he's gonna do now, I mean, I don't know. He kind of beat the final boss of the game. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's kind of nothing. I don't want to say there's nothing to do, but damn, like, I mean, what else do you gotta do? he's a 3-time undisputed champion. He made some good money. At this point, he's just a free player right now. I guess he can do whatever.
Crawford's dominance has created what some call the Crawford effect. Fighters from different divisions are now lining up to challenge him, including Sebastian Fundora, known for his size and aggression. Instead of Crawford chasing fights, others are chasing him. It's a shift in power that shows just how much influence he holds in boxing today.
Effect is in full effect. Okay? It's in full effect. Terence Crawford now is a wanted man. Prior to that, everybody said Terence Crawford is not a draw. Terence Crawford can't sell. Terence Crawford is not a big money fight. Now, we have an interesting situation brewing. The former unified WBA, well, WBO, WBC, junior middleweight world champion, Mexican superstar or star boxer, the towering inferno, Sebastian Fundora, refused to fight Terence Bud Crawford, who is now, no doubt, first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt, the pound for pound king, 4-division world champion, 5-division world champion, 3-division undisputed world champion, with a record of 42 wins, no loss, no draw, 31 wins by way of knockout. When Terence Crawford dominated and stopped The Truth, Errol Spence Jr., in July of 2023, Terence Crawford petitioned to move up and fight the towering inferno, Sebastian Fundora, okay? And Sebastian Fundora has zero interest.
Ashikwe Foster admitted he was shocked by how Crawford silenced his critics. For years, doubters claimed Crawford hadn't faced enough elite opponents. But victories like his win over Canelo erased all those doubts. Foster said Crawford not only proved himself against the best but set a new standard under the brightest lights, turning skepticism into universal respect.
I mean, shit. They definitely doubted, bro, and he told me months ago that he was gonna do that, and he went and did that. That shit, you know what I mean? And they doubted him a lot throughout his career, you know what I mean? Just a lot, and just a lot of people that I look at that's great fighters, they've been doubted. You know what I mean? Same thing with Floyd. Floyd, they had the Oscar De La Hoyas, the Shane Mosleys, the Trinidad, they all was putting them above Floyd and all this woo-de-woo. You know what I mean? And so I just feel like getting doubted is a great thing. It gives me, you know what I mean, that push. So, yeah.
Did you think it would look that, I ain't gonna call it easy, but I felt like people didn't think that Crawford could do it that clean. Did that surprise you?
No. It did surprise me that he stayed more disciplined. Like, I thought what was gonna happen was he was gonna do what he was doing, and then, you know, Terence got hard. He trying to bang it out, especially if he feel played enough. He feel like you feel like you doing something. He gonna come with his stuff. So I thought that was gonna be a problem. Like if Canelo landed a punch, he would try to go in the trenches with Canelo, and that's what I would have been scared for him for. But man, that boy stayed sharp all night. Man, that boy looked good. Man, I can't lie, he looked good. Sure, I was definitely surprised at how smooth, how easy he beat him.
Blair Cobbs and Conor Benn shared strong reactions after Crawford's triumph. Cobbs called it a defining moment, while Benn went further, suggesting Crawford could retire now and still go down as one of the greatest ever. Benn's comment wasn't criticism but recognition that Crawford's career is already complete, his legacy already written in bold.
To sail out on that beautiful sunset and retire. He's done a lot for the sport, and there's really not too much else that he can possibly do in the sport of boxing outside of make a beautiful retirement and leave a legacy of fighters that aspire to be just as great as Terence Crawford, like myself.
Has Canelo's legacy been damaged after that or not?
Not really. I think that Canelo is still a terrific and a fantastic athlete that's spent a little bit too much time at the table of boxing, and right now is his time to make his exit.
Not everyone agrees with the idea of Crawford being unbeatable. Some analysts argue that while beating Canelo was historic, boxing always offers new threats. They insist Crawford could still be tested by other top-tier fighters. For them, his victory doesn't make him untouchable, but it does secure his place as one of the sport's all-time greats, with debates about his legacy sure to continue.
In another division, that's not the move. If he goes back down there, he's the best guy in that division. I think it's safe to say that. But I do think that a lot of those guys will give me very interesting and potentially difficult style matchups for him. They'll be more difficult than a Canelo fight. And I know that sounds crazy to say, but just go and look at the fight with Madrimov if you don't believe me. Long story short, beating Canelo Alvarez doesn't mean that Crawford is unstoppable or unbeatable. Yes, he's one of the best fighters of this division, one of the best fighters ever with his achievements, but it doesn't mean he won't lose before the end if he fights the wrong guy. At the very least, it doesn't mean he won't have a harder fight than that Canelo fight. And to finish this video, do I think that he's better than Floyd Mayweather? Do I think now that he would beat Floyd Mayweather if they were to compete at 147? Well, I think Crawford at 147 is the best Terence Crawford in terms of his attributes, his style, and the strength and power he has at the weight. I think he's probably unbeatable at 147 in this era. It's because he's going up the weight style we're even having this conversation, to be honest with you. But I do think he's an all-time great. I do think he's in the conversation, which is the best you can do, because we can't definitively say who beats who in a fantasy match. That's why I really don't like them. I've been asked a few of them recently, and I just, without studying and then without actually getting the chance to see it, I just don't really like going there. But we'll do it at the end of this video anyway. It's definitely a conversation to have whether or not he's better than Floyd Mayweather, because he's done it without these rehydration clauses. He's done it. He hasn't really cherry-picked, although I would say, to be fair, look at Crawford's record. He has fought a lot of guys where it's been the very end of their career at welter. You know, Sean Porter, Amir Khan, Kell Brook. They're all great names, but none of them were in their prime anymore. But Crawford did it so emphatically, and the way he beat Errol Spence as well. Again, he'd had his issues, but again, the way he did it so emphatically, the way he passes the eye test every single time, you have to assume that he's going to do it no matter who he's facing. I do think a fight between him and Mayweather would have been very, very difficult to call.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned. Until next time.